Hey everybody, this is GGV. I'm sorry to be recording this late. I'm actually recording this at my job because I'm in the back room and it's my lunch break. So showing you guys how much dedication I have for you guys, getting you guys content, because otherwise you guys wouldn't have any content. But I'm recording this during my lunch break, my hour lunch break. I'm probably going to take about 20-30 minutes of it just working on your videos for you guys. So you're welcome. I really do care about you. We have so many basketball games on today. Unfortunately, I don't have like the standings in front of me because normally I do it in front of my computer. Can't do it in front of my computer. But we'll go over all the games real quick. 11 o'clock, we got Northwestern, which sits at 8-6, traveling to number 10. Michigan State, which sits at 14-2. 11 o'clock also, we got Creighton, which sits at 10-4, traveling to number 17, Xavier, which sits at 12-3. 11 o'clock, also we got number 19, Texas Tech, which is at 13-3, traveling to Kansas State, which is at 8-7 on ESPN2. 11 o'clock, we got number 20, Seton Hall, which is at 11-4, traveling to Marquette, which is at 11-6 on FS1. 12 o'clock, we got number 22, Tennessee, which is at 11-4, traveling to number 18, Kentucky, which is at 13-3 on ESPN. 1 o'clock, we got NC State, which is at 9-8, traveling to number 8, Duke, which sits at 13-2 on ABC. 1 o'clock, we got West Virginia, which sits at 13-2, traveling to number 9, Kansas, which also sits at 13-2 on CBS. At 1 o'clock, we got Arkansas, which is at 11-5, traveling to number 12, LSU on ESPN2. At 1 o'clock, we got number 21, Texas, which sits at 13-3, traveling to number 15, Iowa State, which also sits at 13-3. 3 o'clock, we also got number 2, Gonzaga, which sits at 13-2, traveling to Santa Clara, which is at 11-5. 4 o'clock, we got Oklahoma State, which is at 8-7, traveling to number 1, Baylor, which is at 15-1 on ESPN. 5 o'clock, we got number 24, Alabama, which is at 11-5, traveling to Mississippi State, which is at 11-4 on the SEC Network. At 7 o'clock, we got Utah, which is at 8-8, traveling to number 6, Arizona, which is at 13-1 on the Pac-12 Network. 7 o'clock, we got number 11, Houston, which is at 14-2, traveling to Tulsa, which is at 6-8 on ESPN2. 7:30, we got number 4, Auburn, which is at 15-1, traveling to Ole Miss, which is at 9-6 on SEC Network. 9:30, we got Oregon State, which is at 3-12, traveling to number 3, UCLA, which is at 10-2 on the Pac-12 Network. And 10 o'clock, we got Oregon, which is at 10-6, traveling to number 5, USC, which is at 14-1. So I know a lot of games there, but there's some I would like to highlight. Most of these probably aren't going to end up in upsets, but there's probably one in each time period I would like to point out. 11 o'clock, we got Creighton traveling to number 17, Xavier, and I believe that's the best chance we have an upset in that morning window. Creighton was a team that was in the top 25. They've been out and in on every now and then, popping back into it. Xavier already lost this week to Villanova, so Xavier's probably out heading into next week, or at least they'll be down in the low 20s unless they win. If they lose this game, they're definitely out. Creighton sits at 10-4. They're pretty high in the Big East rankings. They're probably like top 4. I think they're third. I think they're in third place right now. Creighton is a really good basketball team. We're talking about a team that really has a chance of pulling off the upset today. That's the Blue Jays. Moving on to another one I think is rather interesting. It's obviously Tennessee traveling to number 18, Kentucky. Tennessee's obviously a very good basketball team this year, so is Kentucky, and they're very close in the rankings. Obviously, Kentucky has home court advantage, but honestly, in basketball, that's not a huge deal. And football's a little bit more important because, again, the crowd noise impacts the play calling. In football, there's not a lot of play calling in basketball. So, again, not that big. I mean, obviously, you would like to play home court, but there's not a huge difference having home court or not. Tennessee's obviously a really good basketball team, so is Kentucky. So it's interesting this year to see these two teams play. This is a legitimate chance to be in a serious upset. 1 o'clock, Arkansas is actually there's 3 games I'd like to point on the 1 o'clock window. All 3 of the 4. First one is West Virginia traveling to number 9, Kansas. Kansas obviously a top 10 team. They're 13-2, but West Virginia is legitimately underrated this year. Again, they've gone 13-2. They've done extremely well so far this year. They look like a very solid basketball team. I'm surprised they're not in the top 25. They look really good to me personally. So I think West Virginia definitely has a chance of pulling off the upset. Now, they will be on the road, but again, like I said before, I don't believe that means that much. Also, the other 1 o'clock game, you have Arkansas, which is at 11-5. Now, again, LSU's one of the best SEC teams this year. Like, they're legitimately one of the best in the entire country. I love LSU this year, watching them play. But Arkansas is on the bottom of the SEC, so you normally wouldn't think this would be much of a game, but Arkansas is an 11-5 team. They're really good. They just haven't been able to, they haven't played that many SEC games, and the ones they have, they've lost by a couple points. So I think Arkansas is a way better team than their SEC record indicates. I think they could keep it close here, the Razorbacks. The other game I'd like to point out is another ranking between two top 25 teams, and that's Texas taking on Iowa State. Both these teams are 13-3. They're both really good. Now, Texas was expected to be good. Iowa State's been kind of a surprise this year. But both these teams are really close together in skill-wise. They're both really solid basketball teams, so I think this one could be for an interesting matchup. Alabama's at 5 o'clock. We also got number 24 Alabama. You know, they're playing. This is the one I think. I'll probably mention one more game that I think is a possible upset. But Alabama's at the. They're probably out of the top 25. I'm gonna be honest. After the loss to Auburn this week, and Mississippi State is 11-4. They're very close to the same record. Again, Alabama only has an 11-5 record, and this is honestly a very close game. Mississippi State gets home court advantage. There's a lot of things to like about the Bulldogs in this matchup. And then one more I'd like to point out, it's the last game of the day. It's Oregon, which is a 10-6 Charlotte, number 5 USC. Now, USC has lost their first game of the year, I believe, against Stanford on Tuesday, right? So this is going to be interesting, right? Again, Oregon pulled off a huge upset a couple of nights ago over number 3 UCLA. They're playing number 5 USC. This is a huge chance to be an upset. So which one do I personally think is going to be the best chance for an upset? I'm going to have to go with, I personally think it's got to be Texas. I think Texas has a huge chance of upsetting Iowa State on the road. I think Texas has one of the best teams in the country. I think Texas, once they get together, they can definitely beat Iowa State. So that's the team I'm picking here. Give me the Longhorns doing this one on the road.